summer's gone and nights grow cold. These are the days of awe. The shofar blows. With bread in hand down to the sea, we take time to give thanks and cast our sadness free. That we may start fresh, that we may come clear, that we may know sweetness and peace throughout the year. That we may find love where we need it most, and open our hearts and hands and draw each other close. A day to fast and count the ways we've promised and fallen short. We meet each other's gaze. Begin again, life won't wait. Time to turn and we return and walk on through the gates. Under the moon, a roof of trees, we bring the harvest. Beneath the stars we eat and sing for joy, make ourselves strong. We'll reap what we've sown, may it last all year long. That we may start fresh, that we may come clear, that we may know sweetness and peace throughout the year, that we may find love where we need it most, and open our hearts and hands and draw each other close. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
I'm so glad and so overjoyed to welcome all of you here and all of you out in Cyberland here, as well as we begin the process of our day of judgment, right? Rosh Hashanah is our new day, our new year, but also our day of judgment, the time where we look inward so that on Yom Kippur we can cast away. So, as we continue, I'm just so grateful. Everybody should have a machzor, these beautiful gold machzorim, and you'll see these are different than our past ones. Most of the prayers are transliterated on the left-hand side. So if we are doing something in Hebrew and you don't know the Hebrew language, you can certainly follow along and join us with the Hebrew. And if you feel uncomfortable doing that, you can also light-eye along, right? There's lots of ways to participate. This is not a show. This is our community together, opening our hearts and opening our souls with all that is. We're going to begin this evening as we welcome Shabbat and Rosh Hashanah at the same time. So you'll hear there's some liturgical differences. It kind of drags it out a little bit more. But we're also overjoyed that this is one of the holidays that we do get to celebrate on Shabbat. So we'll begin with our candle lighting. Hannah Donnelly, if you'll make your way up here and join us as we light the Shabbat candles and the Rosh Hashanah candles. You will find the reading on page 10. All the stars are hidden. Oh, we're going to bring you over here.
Okay. All the stars are hidden, and the moon is dark tonight. In the wide expanse of heaven, not a ray of light. Light a bright candle in my heart's shadow tent, and through the wide expanse of heaven, the light will shine. Where there is sadness, let us hope for love. Where there is fear, let us reach for hope. On this eve of New Year, may we bring light to one another.
Amen. We're going to come on right over here. We're going to light the candles. You are lighting the candles. Why don't we light them together? How does that sound? Please rise if you're able as we light the Shabbat candles. We are on page 11.
Let של יום טוב.
We continue with Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We continue now with Esa Enai. We lift our eyes to the heavens from where our help comes on page 8 as Sharon joins us up here. And I invite you, if you are so compelled, to use the Shabbat candles and the Yom Tov candles as a point of focus if that is meaningful to you. Page 8.
Ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz Esa Enai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz.
We're so blessed to have our choir back and intact in Yashar Kochachem. It's beautiful, just beautiful. We continue now with our first shofar blast as we awaken our souls this evening, page 15. Yes. At the new moon, at the full moon, for our feast day, sound the shofar, for that is the law of Israel, the way of God of Jacob. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, shomea kol truah amo Yisrael, barachamim. Tekiah. Please be seated. Shalom Aleichem. We come together, page 14. This is one of those editions for Shabbat, right? We are here on Shabbat, and we join together not just for this new year, but for this seventh-day celebration in which we are reminded weekly to withdraw, to be present. Shalom Aleichem, page 14.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mo'echem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Hineni, here I am. What does it mean to be here? It is hard to be here. It's hard to be here in this sanctuary. It's not always easy on a Friday evening to come. And when we get here, are we here or are we somewhere else? And for those out on YouTube and on Zoom, to log in isn't always simple. There's so many other things that we can be doing, right? So many other things. And yet, we as a Jewish people have decided that it is worthwhile to say, Hineni, here I am, present with my community, with my people, with our liturgy. For what remains still to be seen, right? This holy season, like every holy season. Please join with me on page 16 in the English for individual reflection. Here I am, one soul within this prayer community. Like those around me, I bring my own concerns and yearnings to this place, hoping they will find expression in the time-hallowed words of my people and the traditions cherished by generations before me. May I bring the best of my energies to these holy days, approaching the spiritual work with open heart and mind, sincerity and sustained focus on the deep questions of this season. Who am I? How shall I live? Where have I fallen short or failed? This night I take up the challenge of the days of awe, Cheshbon HaNefesh, a searching examination of my life, a moral inventory of my deeds, words, and thoughts. During the next 10 days, let me face the truth about myself and listen to your still small voice, taking comfort in your promise that I am always free to change, released from the staleness and routine. Let me know the joy of beginning again. May I gain strength as I share this task with those around me, united by our common purpose, Tikkun Midot, improving our characters, Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. I now prepare myself to pray, one soul amidst this holy congregation. Page 19. We rise as we announce the new year. Our God, God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in this year 5784. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gifts of life. We remain standing, Baruch Hu, page 20. If there's ever a time in the service that you feel that you can't stand up and sit down or turn around or whatever we're doing, because we're going to do a lot of standing up and sitting down and all sorts of things, that is just fine. You need to do what you need to do to take care of you. Also, this mahzor we were talking about before. So the one we used to use scarcely had the word God in it. Never, very rarely was the word God in it. This is a much more spiritually true mahzor, but it kind of goes the other direction, and it's all God all the time, which is okay, right? Because as a people, we have many different ways to connect to God. Maybe you call it God, maybe you call it something larger than ourselves, maybe you call it the universe, maybe you call it nothing because you're not really sure what's out there. There are many ways to connect. If the words on the page do not match the words in your heart, that makes you like thousands of generations of Jews, right? That you are next to the person and next to the person and next to the person. And it all looks different. And that's important. So if you're finding the words aren't speaking to you, you are welcome to look somewhere else in the book. You are welcome to close your eyes. You are welcome to find me afterwards and say, I think I'm a little bit heretical, but this is what I'm thinking, right? That puts you exactly where you need to be this Rosh Hashanah. So this is our book, meant to guide us, but it's not meant to tell us how to engage, okay? So I thought I had to set some ground rules before we embark on this big journey together. We continue now, Ma'ariv Aravim, who brings on the night in English together, page 22. Join with me in the English, please, at the bottom of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your great name fills the universe with majestic might. Your word creates twilight and dusk as your wisdom opens the gates of night. Your discernment separates the changing seasons and causes the passage of time. The stars arrayed across the sky reveal your design. You roll out the cycle of darkness and light, shaping day and night. You sweep away day and carry the world into nightfall. Setting day apart from nighttime, you are God of all we can perceive and all that is beyond our perception. Living, eternal God, be our sovereign to the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Ahavat Olam, page 24. Join with us and the choir that there is love beyond all space and time, the top of the page.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limodeta, otanu limodeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, u'bahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. V'ahavat chal tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Ohev amo
Shema, listen. Listen to the waves and listen to the universe. Listen to everything that is no longer the same and everything that seems exactly the same. Listen to that which we don't understand and that which we think we understand, but we really don't understand. And maybe the things we sometimes understand. Listen with an open heart, even when it's hard to do. These days are about listening. These days are about hearing, not just with our ears, maybe not at all with our ears, with our hearts and with our hands and with our souls and with our being and with our feet and with our heads and all the ways that we listen. And listen for peace where we see strife. Listen at night when it's quiet. Page 26 and 27, we continue with Shema, and then we will continue right after that with Ve'ahavta, how God shows us love, how God helps us learn to listen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Harushem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol vavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha Veshinantam levanecha, vidibarta bam, beshivtecha bevetecha, ulechtecha vaderech, ushofecha uvkumecha, ukshartam lehot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beinenecha, Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Page 30. Leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai item kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hoteti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet.
You have stayed long enough in this place, God said. Time to go forward. Turn your face to the future. Believe that you can cross the sea and survive. Inside you is a Moses. Within you, a Miriam dances. Unafraid, lift up your voice and sing. Lift up your voice and sing a new song. Page 34, Michamocha.
Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nehda b'kodesh, nor al tehi
By walking, I found out where I was going, page 35. By intensely hating how to love, by loving whom and what to love. By grieving how to laugh from the belly, out of infirmity, to build strength out of untruth, truth. From hypocrisy, I wove directness. Almost now I know who I am. Almost I have the boldness to be that human. Another step, and I shall be where I started from. We continue, Hashkivenu, as we shelter page 36. I also invite you, if you'd like, to read the English on your own as we do the Hebrew together, the choir.
Zetenu voenu lechayim o shalom me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam ve'ad olam ufrosalenu sukat shelomecha Baruch Baruch atah Adonai. Apore sukat shalom aleinu ve'akol amo Yisrael. Apore sukat shalom aleinu ve'akol amo Yisrael.
God, you spread out over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom. We pray over all of Israel, over all your people, over all people everywhere, and over Yerushalayim. And we say, Amen. Page 40, Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadash vayitkadash Shamer Rabba Be'alma divrach Yirotei V'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon Uchayedecho be'Yisrael Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipahar v'yitromam v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitalel v'yitalal shemed kudeshah barichu lehela ulehela mikol birchata v'shirata
You guys doing okay over there?
We're hanging.
Yeah? I'm used to you guys out here like singing back at me. I'm very, very confused by this whole thing with you guys all over here. But thank you for all of the amazing hard work that you guys have put into bringing music to all of us and inspiring all of us to sing in your midst. We're going to continue now with the Amidah. Those of you who know Hebrew know Amidah means to stand, but we are not standing yet. We are going to begin with an individual prayer on page 42. Traditionally, people will sometimes go through the liturgy independently, and then we go through it together as a community. The idea is that we have our own individual prayers, and then maybe God will notice in numbers, right? If we all come together, or maybe we can help carry the load of each other if we all come together. But I'm going to invite you before we do our repetition, and we are going to do many of these Amidot throughout our High Holy Day season. I'm going to invite you to take this time and make it your own. If you'd like to look at one of the prayers in pages 42 through 70 and dig deeply into that, you're welcome to. If you'd like to close your eyes, listen to the meditations of your heart. closing your eyes and listening to the meditations of your heart make you anxious, there's lots of stuff around you to sort of delve into or just reflect on your year and on your week. So we're just going to take a little bit of quiet time together, and then we'll come back together on page 42 in just a couple of minutes. When you've completed your individual prayer, I invite you to rise if you are so able. If you are still praying, you may stay seated. If you prefer to stay seated, you may stay seated. If that is more comfortable for you. Page 42, Adonai Sfatai. We don't take for granted that our lips or our hearts can speak the truth of our souls, or that it takes time to sometimes get to the truth of our souls, not just as individuals, but as communities and as countries and as a world and as people. Page 42, Adonai Sfatai, and then we will continue on through the Amidah. So with each prayer, you'll just sort of flip the page, and that's where you'll be. And I'll call out the pages every now and then.
Tiftach ufia gitehilatecha, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory.
Page 44.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה זוכרנו לחיים מלך חפץ בחיים וכתבנו בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה
Page 46.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מחלקל חיים בחסד בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי עמך בגבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומטמיח ישוע מי חמוך אל הרחמים זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל
Page 49.
Adore
seated. We continue. Bonnie, if you would come on up. On page 54 in your love, in the middle of the page. Oh, wait, let's get you over. Mm-hmm.
Love, eternal our God, you have given us the Shabbat and this day of remembrance, a day for the shofar's joyful sound, remembered and cherished in our hearts, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our peoples going out from Egypt.
And we read together with Bonnie on the bottom of the page, our God and God of the generations before us.
Our God, God of all generations
Before us. May the memory
of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness, together with the memory of our ancestors,
the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel.
may we be remembered
For safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace, on this day of remembrance. Amen. Yashar kochach. We continue now, Ritzay, page 60.
Say Adonai Eloheinu Be'amecha Yisrael U'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel. Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lecho Kerov Penei El Avadecha Vechanenu Shevach Ruchacha Aleinu V'techezena Einenu Yeshuvecha Letzion
We continue Shalom Rav, page 66. Please join with us. That means everybody out here who's not in the choir, please join with us. Right, choir?
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam בשלומך בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה נזכר ונקטה לפניך אנחנו לכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי. God, may the words of my mouth, may the meditations of my heart, the words of our mouths, the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you. The souls of eternity, you are our rock, you are our redeemer. Yehu l'ratzon, the top of page 70. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzeh Chesed la'alafim, Nosei Avon, V'Fesha v'Chata v'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, shrouding us in kindness of faithfulness, extending kindness to all of the generations, forgiving our iniquity, forgiving our transgression, forgiving our sin. Adonai, who cleanses. In our society, it wasn't in your machzorim right there. In our society, we look at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur as two separate days. It pops up somewhere between the months of September and October. And it is so pivotal and so important. We write it down, we put it in our calendars, and we don't even come to shul the rest of the year. That's not true. I'm actually speaking to the people who do come to shul the rest of the year. But these Yamei Noraim, these days of awe, they're a process deemed so pivotal that it can only be used and gone through as a process. And I've been talking about that for a month now. It's in fact the only biblical holiday that we are obligated to celebrate for 2 days. We really want to judge ourselves for 2 days, but apparently we need 2 days to get into the zone of where self-reflection really is. And these days, they are not a destination, but they are a journey. Before these days, we've prepared throughout the month of Elul. We've opened the gates of forgiveness and compassion, and they've been the warm-up to our high holiday workout. For then, the full workout of our bodies, our souls, and communities will sweat out the collective and individual issues. Our hope that in both the Elul warm-up and the high holy day workout, we do all this spiritual exercising for our bodies, souls, and communities, and we get back into shape. But then we eventually get past that broken part, that really hard part, and we reach a place of healing. And then we can hold our faces to the sun individually and collectively, look in our metaphorical mirrors, and go through the process of tefillah, of prayer, looking inward, teshuvah, returning to our best selves, and tzedakah, building for a just future. And we hope to merit a year of goodness, blessing, and connection. So you sit here now, and we sit here reflecting and listening and returning again and again and again and again and again and again. That feeling of hurt and brokenness inside of you, inside of your nefesh and your soul. You're asked to cleanse yourself, to make amends with your neighbor, atone not just for yourself, but for your community, to wipe the slate clear. Well, that's actually a lot to take in. So breathe. We're not doing this alone. And then between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we spend another 10 days to be awed. It's 10 days to be inspired, to actually right the wrongs that we figured out in Rosh Hashanah that we did. So sticking to this workout metaphor, there's a lot of reps, there's a lot of steps, and when we finally get there, poof, like magic, we return to our personal and communal gardens of wholeness, honesty, vulnerability, joy, and gratitude as described in the story of creation. I mean, that is certainly how my days of awe go every year. Don't yours? 4 to 6 days in shul, and all of our personal, communal, social, and really awful humanitarian issues, social issues, just vanish into thin air. We know that's not true, right? We know that's not true. But our tradition does teach us a story of wholeness. How do we get to wholeness? How do our societies get to wholeness? And how do we get to finding that sense of completion? And I think if we look at it with intellectual honesty, emotional honesty, spiritual honesty, we know we probably never get there in a way that as humans we can understand. But certainly our tradition teaches us how to approach that. In Elul, we add the shofar to our daily prayer. Tekiah shavarim truat kia gadola, waking us and jarring us from complacency. Once we are woken, like we heard earlier, it's about cheshbon nefesh, this accounting, looking inward. Looking communally, remembering who we are. Will this get us healing? Like many of you and your kids or people you know have asked on road trips, haven't we seen this before? Haven't we heard this before? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Pray, pray, pray. We get what we want. But not quite, not quite. In our liturgy, we learn we pray for healing of the body when it's meant to be, and healing of the spirit, which can always be. Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen explains, healing is very different from curing. It is a process we're involved in all the time. Sometimes people heal physically, and they don't heal emotionally or mentally or spiritually. Sometimes they heal emotionally, and they don't heal physically. Remen continues, everybody has pain, everybody is wounded, and it is our woundedness that allows us to trust each other. I can only trust another person if I too can sense that they too have pain, have fear. Out of trust, we can begin to pay attention to each other's wounds, to heal and to be healed. Or as the Hasidic master, Menachem Mendel of Kotzk, teaches us, there is nothing as whole or as perfect as a broken heart. As a hospital chaplain, I spend my days supporting people in remembering. What are they remembering? Who you are is not somebody with an illness. You're not somebody with an addiction, somebody without a perfectly curated Facebook page presenting life. Who you are is somebody complex, somebody who matters. It's not about being perfect. It's about being most truthfully and perfectly who you are. And here's the thing. I work in a hospital. You live in our world. We all know we cannot always cure, but how can we heal? The Institute of Palliative Care says that curing means to eliminate sickness, while healing refers to repairing the body, mind, or spirit. Cure alters what is. Healing offers us what might be. Cure is an act. Healing is a process. Cure closes the past. Healing opens the future. Cure seeks a change to reality, and healing embraces reality. To be present, that despite these perceived imperfections, maybe debilitation, maybe things being different than we expected, grief over our humanity, understanding that that's what makes us perfect, perfectly imperfect. But it's not just saying it, it's believing it. That's the hard part. So I thought I would share with you a little bit about my healing journey. So, due to a series of confusing physical and human-made issues, it became medically impossible for me to carry children. I was disillusioned, I was disheartened. I had grown up with a very, very strong mythology that children would be easy. My parents, after having their very well-curated family of a girl and a boy 2.5 years later, ended up with another girl 14 years later. Unexpected, but wonderful. I checked all of the boxes of what it meant to be human, as reflected in my particular set of social and cultural norms, completely in the box. College, check. Graduate degree, check. Marriage, check. Pets, check. Children, well, my first pregnancy came about a little bit unexpectedly. Feeling not yet ready about this surprise, I had a wide range of emotions. My husband kept saying, "Don't we need to be married longer first? Don't we need to get to be better parents of our cats before we add kids?" After all, I was working for a very large congregation. I did not have time for this in my career. This was not part of the plan. But after much time and much reflecting, and much processing, and much processing, and much more processing, as we like to process, we faced and embraced the surprise pregnancy. But then it was lost. And I was lost. Equally dumbfounded and devastated, Had I somehow willed this to be, had I somehow brought this on myself? Was my discomfort with what was going on? Did I do something wrong? Why was this happening? Were we bad people? I don't even know what Jason was feeling. I was so self-involved at that moment. He just looked constantly like he was hit by a ton of bricks, and he would have done anything to make it better. I was broken. I was changed in ways I didn't even know. I was numb. I was confused. I was also self-critical. Why are you so angry? I wanted to turn in my spiritual advisor badge and throw things at God. I wanted to quit. But somehow, like clockwork, I got on the beam of that next weekend, led services, shared a bunch of things from the tradition, and moved on. Over time, I stuffed down my brokenness, and it gave way to what I now identify as a task orientation. At least that's what I call it when I'm doing my spiritual direction now. They're very task oriented. But that's another sermon for another time. I was in a cohort of spiritually driven directors. I was on the pulpit, and I was beginning to implement new and innovative Jewish education models based on expressive arts. Mind you, this was 15 years ago, so it was still considered innovative then. Now I had to practice what I preached. So I went to therapy, because that is what competent, progressive, socially evolved people do in the face of crisis. This crisis of questioning everything, and yet full of determination to understand, and for the success, full of determination to understand, and now I was determined to be a mother, right? I had gone from like not sure to like, this is what must be, and this is now the focus of my life. I was utterly broken, obsessively worshiping the idols of supposed tos, could haves, should haves, and with each future miscarriage, I became more focused and more determined. Like Pharaoh, my heart hardened and continued to harden, all while on the pulpit. I wanted a family, but now I could not have one, not the way I imagined I had wanted a family. Past the miscarriages, past the medical interventions, enough payment for a down payment on a house, it just kept going and going and going and going. The dissonance between my heart and brain grew in intensity. I kept working. I actually love working. The stories, the rituals, the tradition, they have always felt like a stable center. The rabbis were somewhere I could go when I couldn't go to the people, right? They were always there. They always had some wisdom. They always had some sort of grounding. And so I just kept going. But soon that too began to fall apart. Not externally, but internally. I dropped out of my Jewish spirituality course. I didn't want to sit with anybody to explore anything ever. It just hurt too much. Wait, it hurt too much? At this time, I didn't know what was going on, nor did I care. But I began letting go of the pieces of Jewish ritual. Not externally, because that was who I was supposed to be, but internally. What was kashrut anyways? Which Jason was super confused because before we got married, we had a whole big brouhaha about having a kosher home. And suddenly I was like, oh, what's kashrut? We don't need to do that. We don't need to do Shabbat. We don't need to do any of these things. I was losing my faith right in front of him. I was completely alienated from my Jewish spirituality. I was angry and I was done. The doctors had misled me and I wanted to scream. People would say insensitive things like, don't worry, if you want to be a parent, you'll be one day. It became clear through more medical stuff that there was not going to be a cure for my womb. I was shattered, I was broken, I was confused. And I was deeply silent. The thing is that neither my mind, my first go-to place, or my heart, where I would go to once my mind was exhausted, they had no idea that I was in fact already on a deep journey, much like the Israelites in Egypt. They didn't instantly leave Egypt. It took some time and it took some agony. Life is full of journeys. And I would tell you at the beginning of this journey, oh, it's a process, but I didn't believe it. Eventually, as I started crumbling, I started talking. I started sharing. Despite my best intentions, despite what I believed I should do as a human, I just couldn't keep my secret any longer. Eventually, a colleague in the Bay Area introduced me to another colleague in the Bay Area who said, well, my friend from Berkeley had a baby via surrogate in India. And so I said, oh, well, that could be interesting. So I went home and I told Jason, hey, Jason, why don't we go to India and see if we can have a baby that way? He looked at me like I was crazy. And then he called people and told them that I might be crazy. But eventually, we were so done. We would have tried or done anything. It was not well planned. We just figured, why not try? We went to India. We did a round of IVF, and it was not successful. But the most miraculous thing happened when I was there. When we were there, our physician, she happened to be Hindu. She was honest. She was direct, and suddenly, for the first time in years, I could feel my heart. I started to recognize something familiar. I felt connected and I felt safe. We left India, waiting to hear if the woman who agreed to be on this journey with us was pregnant, and she wasn't, as I had just mentioned. But it was so clear to me that I would need to go back, and I would need to try again. And at that point, my parents thought I was crazy, but that's okay. They eventually got on board. But from this incredible brokenness, this brokenness that I didn't even know, came wholeness, unimagined growth. We had left the snake, and it had bitten us in the Garden of Eden. And we went on a journey of healing that led us to two amazing people sitting here in this congregation who happen to be rolling their eyes at me, but that's not here or there, but both of whom are presently breaking their own boundaries as they journey towards B'nai Mitzvah. When we experience a loss, the passing of a family member or friend, the loss of a job, a home, hopes and dreams cut short, disenchantment and betrayal, we are left shattered, powerless, and broken. I have my story, but I am sure there is not one person in this room who has not looked at a moment in their life and said, but what now? Isn't this how it wasn't supposed to be if I played my cards this way? One of the most remarkable stories in our canon of stories is a story told about the Ten Commandments. The first set of 10 commandments was broken after Moses came down and witnessed the golden calf. He smashed those first commandments, and then he went back up and received the second set. Talmudic tradition states that the broken tablets were carried in the ark along with the ones that were intact. It states that the ark is a symbol of the human heart. And in this case, the ark has to accept and embrace the broken in order to embrace the whole. Think about the wedding ritual, the chuppah, and the glass, right? We break a glass under the chuppah to represent broken moments in communal life, knowing that that is part of what it is to build a life together. And Pesach, we break the matzah. And back to the shavarim, the shofar blasts. Those incomplete notes are exactly what makes the experience of hearing the shofar complete. According to our liturgy, there are 13 attributes given by God. Those are the 13 attributes we sing on these holy days, the 13 attributes that I sang at the beginning of this talk. Moses had to be reminded how to forgive after the golden calf. Moses had to be reminded how to open his heart. Sometimes we too have to be reminded how to open our hearts. Much to my surprise, most of the individuals we shared our truth with after the fact looked upon it with goodness and compassion. It starts with a very hard truth that none of us in this process can be without personal or communal honesty and vulnerability. This isn't an easy process. Like in the words of the Shema, we are reminded we can always come back to wholeness. And during this time, if we are willing, if we are able to open our hearts, God, tradition, community will support us into a similar journey. Those who know us, those who know any human honesty, may be able to understand the irreverent statement that I always or often say, usually in private, not usually in front of a congregation, but I often say that we plan and God drops. It's much nicer to say we plan and God laughs, but I really feel like we get drop kicked sometimes. And Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, they were whole and they were drop kicked right on out, but they had to listen to be whole again. Every challenge is not a magnanimous, wholehearted journey devoid of suffering. Absolutely not. But our Creator has given us the blessing of being able to find wholeness even with the things that are hard and to embrace that wholeness. Challah on Shabbat, we are obligated to take a piece out of it, to make it sort of incomplete as an offering. And then we braid it. And why do we have challah? It is a combination of human work and God's work together, and that is what creates sustenance. And did you know on Shabbat we're obligated to have 2 whole loaves? But is challah perfectly symmetrical? It's not, right? So it is whole, but it is not perfect, if you will. This is our time to express this is our time to find wholeness, to reach into those moments of vulnerability, to allow ourselves, easier said than done, vulnerability, to be present in the process, to not know the outcome. Even when we pretend like I did, oh, I am on a journey. I did not believe I was on a journey. I believed I knew how it should go. But if we reach out to each other, if we allow ourselves to evolve, then through our imperfection, our tradition teaches us we can find wholeness. So in these days of judgment, these days of Rosh Hashanah, I invite you to look in on yourself with compassion, with self-care, with love, with joy for the things that we didn't expect, for the debility, for the things we can no longer do, for the journeys we didn't think we were going to be on, because that's not what our life was going to look like, and find new wholeness with that. And I invite you to reach out to your fellow congregants and share your stories with them. And through that, we are going to make our own exodus to newfound wholeness, to honesty, to what it means to live a holy life. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, merciful and gracious creator of such a complex and such a staggeringly beautiful universe, we thank you. We are grateful to each other as well as revealing our remarkable, multifaceted, and perfect selves. May we have the fortitude of spirit to live this journey through the shadows and towards the sun. May we have the courage to fumble and fall, remembering the ways God showed us compassion, even when we're not feeling compassionate. Putting the elements into the world to build towards a more whole world. May we be held this season, allowing us to express the profound grief of what it is to be human and coming out better for it, providing moments of comfort, hope, and transformation, that this coming year will be one of meaning, one of healing, as we move towards new wholeness. So there is no cure for this thing called life. There is no cure for our humanity. But every day, I have the privilege of being reminded that although there is not always a cure, there is always a journey. There is always a profound human, and there is always a way to live in holiness. And that through embracing what is real, that we can live like our ancestors did, not in shame of our broken tablets, but honoring our broken tablets and demonstrating what it is to live a more whole, more peaceful life. Shana Tova, may this be a meaningful Rosh Hashanah. May you also laugh, right? The apples and honey also help us. We need comfort along the way. But I want to invite you to feel deeply. It's okay. It's okay to be human. We're going to continue on page 73 with Heal Us Now, which is our prayer, our Misha Berach, as we pray for those who are in need of healing, as we put out energy into the universe for wholeness and those who might be struggling in body and spirit. Page 73, Heal Us Now.
soul. save ad haolam. Misheberach avotenu, Misheberach avotenu, Hana Adonai Hoshiana. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every child, every woman, every man. El Nar Refana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Refuat Shalema. El Nar Refana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Refuat Shalema. Heal us now. Heal us
May all people in need of wholeness and healing find healing in this season. We say, Amen. I invite you to rise at this time. Avinu Malkeinu, page 76 and 77. We're going to open the ark. Our Father, our Mother, you care for us. Our Queen, our King, we have no one but you. Avinu Imanu, be merciful to us. If our good deeds have soared, you care for us. And if we have taken what is yours, we have no one but you. Makaltenu, Malkenu, be merciful to us. If we are full of transgression, you care for us. And you are the rock of our salvation. We have no one but you. Avinu Imanu, be merciful to us. We've placed our hope in you. You care for us. For the one who cares for us, you. We have no one but you. Malkotenu, Malkenu, be merciful to us. Avinu Imanu. Avinu Malkenu, Honenu V'anenu. Our Father, our Mother, our Queen, our King, our Creator, our Sovereign, be gracious and answer us, for we cannot plead based on our deeds. Be generous and loving towards us, and save us. Page 76.
Avinu
page 76 in the English. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake show us mercy. Avinu Malkeinu, act towards us as benefits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill amongst us. Avinu Malkeinu, lay our harshness to decree against us. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names into the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through the acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'Haneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'Haneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim, aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'Haneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'Haneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim.
Our Creator, our nurturer, show compassion. If you can remain standing, I invite you to remain standing. We continue now with Kiddush. You will find Kiddush. Oh, not yet. Please be seated. It only took, 5 years of rabbinical school to tell you guys not to be seated. We have a few announcements this evening. Are you doing announcements? Julia, invite Julia up to share some announcements with our community. How's everybody doing? You ready for the races? Yeah, we going? Okay.
Yes, please.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm happy to see my friends that I see every Friday night. I'm happy to see friends that I haven't seen in a while. And I'm happy to meet some of you for the first time. And I hope that we will become friends. I just want to take a quick moment to thank, I want to thank Rabbi Jennifer and Daniel for creating this beautiful service for us. And this is just the beginning. We'll be reconvening tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I also want to, I just absolutely must recognize this choir. It's unbelievable. I think those of you who know Narami
This is the first time we have been together in 4 years, because the last time we sang together, right, we call BC, before COVID. So we could not sing together, and not to go entirely down memory lane, but that first year, it was just Daniel and Sharon in this room alone. I know you remember this. And me in my bedroom at home running Zoom. And then Rabbi Pete, I think, in London. But we did this, and I think this is the strength and the power and the actually amazing of Narami, just sort of remarkable. And so when we had the opportunity to come back together this year, I think there are like 17 of us in the choir. We're missing a few tonight. But everyone came back, and then new people came. And we have to really thank Sharon and Moises for this summer, because and of course our board of directors, who actually will be recognized tomorrow with an aliyah, so you'll see our hardworking board of directors. In terms of the housekeeping, so yes, we will gather tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., and there will be a children's service at about 10:15, 10:30. Those of you who have, this is really for young children, so I'm sorry, teens, you probably really need to stay in this room, right? And we do have childcare also available. At 3:30, so after the service, you should all go home, eat fast, and then we're going to gather at Santa Rosa Valley Park for Tashlik. We've been doing this for a number of years, and there should be water. I haven't checked it out, but there was enough rain, so I think there should be water in the little river there. Rabbi Jennifer will be leading us, will be joining us, and it's really a wonderful ceremony, and then we go for a little walk. And then finally, oh, wait, Leonard, where's my bags? Oh, yeah, well, wait a minute. Voice without the mic, right? So there are maps on the back table. They'll be out there again tomorrow, but this is how to get to Santa Rosa Park. And then finally, by the front door, it is our tradition every year that you take a bag home and you fill it with non-perishables and bring it back over the course of the next couple of weeks. And this serves our local pantry of Soma's Pantry. And Rabbi, I think that's it for tonight.
Continue now with Kiddush, page 79. If you're able, I invite you to rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, v'romamanu mikol ha'shon, v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, atiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava be'yom hazikaron hazeh, yom teruah ורווחה אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש השבת ישראל, ויום הזיכרון. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We continue now, Aleinu, page 82.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Bottom of page 84. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד.
You may be seated. In just a moment, we are going to recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. And I find the words of the Mourner's Kaddish are particularly poignant this time of year, that we we seem to hearken back to some of our earlier memories, maybe the people we sat with once upon a time in these chairs or other chairs, and some other state or some other place. Maybe these chairs we sat next to the people that brought us comfort and joy and connection, and they sit with us no more in body, but they still are with us in spirit. I want to keep in mind that many of us in this room have lost people in this last year, and this is our first Holy Day season without them. And that it feels different, and it feels weird, and it feels, well, we don't know what it feels. And I want to just bring their names, their spirit with us into this room. Invite them to sit next to you. Invite them to share in this moment. And even if it isn't the first year, and even if it's the 100th year, it sometimes feels like the first year. And as we work and we move into the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, I want to remind us that there is always healing that we can move closer to. There is always healing, and that those memories may make us cry. They may make our hearts sing out. They may make us laugh. And that is part of the healing process, the part we don't understand. If you are remembering somebody this evening, we don't usually have yartzites on Shabbat. It's kind of complicated. But if you are remembering somebody this evening, I invite you to rise at this time. And I'll invite you to just invoke a memory of them with you. And if it is your custom to rise and join the community and support for all those saying Kaddish and all of those who have nobody to say Kaddish, I invite you to do so at right now. Continue on page 90, words of Kaddish Yatom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divra cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imaru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mavorach le'olam almei almaya, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudasha b'richu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiram me'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imaru, amen. May the source of peace, who bestows peace on all who mourn, may we find comfort for all who are bereaved. May we find wholeness now and forever. And we say, amen. You may be seated. And I'm going to say the words of the priestly blessing to bless this congregation. I want to thank Daniel for your musical expertise and genius, and the choir for your voices and your soul and your heart and your commitment. And to Narami, this community is such a special community in so many ways. I've seen many, many Jewish communities, big and small and medium, and the heart and soul, the quest and the love here is really something unique and special, and I invite us to hold on to that, to celebrate that, and to honor that. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Yair Adonai fanav elecha v'yechuneka. May the Lord's face shine upon you. Yair Adonai fanav elecha v'yisamlach shalom. May we always be in wholeness and in peace. And even when we're not in wholeness and in peace, may we strive for that wholeness and peace. We conclude this evening with Send Me, and we resume tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, send me, and then we will send you to bed. Join with us, even if you don't know it.
Vaheshma et kol Adonai, et mi yishlach u'mi elechanu, va'omar hineni, shlacheni, vaheshma. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? Who shall go for us? Then I said, Here am I, send me. Vaheshma et kol Adonai, et mi yishlach u'mi elechanu, va'omar hineni, shlacheni, Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? Who shall go for us? Then I said, Here am I, send me. Vaheshma et kol Adonai, et mi yishlach u'mi elechanu, va'omar hineni, shlacheni, va'omar hineni, shlacheni,
Shana Tova Tikakevu. May you be inscribed for a good and a healthy year. Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Yeah.
I've had 3 published books.
Okay. Wait, come with me. I'm going to go stand back here. Come back with me back here. Yes.
And so we had a conference, guess
What?
where?
What should I